That's incredible. I really like that.
Yeah, it's on a loop.
Oh my God.
In a few minutes, I'll leave the apartment and then come back in.
I love that.
That's insane. I'm kind of mad I didn't think of it.
Yeah, that's really funny. I'm enjoying that a lot. That's a very, very fun Zoom background. I was like, did you just put are you green screened in front of just your actual house?
Do you have a twin?
This is what I do all day. I just sit here and try and figure out ways to troll my coworkers.
Welcome, residents, to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard, and next to me is the Doctor himself.
Hello.
Each week, we talk about the weird and wonderful world of DC while fielding questions from listeners like you. Speaking of listeners like you, today we are joined by host of the Lantern Cast and curator of the Ragman Suits of Souls blog. It's my favorite resident to push around. It's the one and only Chad Bokelman.
Bokel.
What's up, guys?
I like that your intro is like, love to bully.
Yeah.
This is why I stopped submitting questions.
This is why you get a special place in my heart if I am mean to you. Look, eventually you'll get hired, apparently.
Yeah, just stick around long enough, you get a paycheck out of it.
You gotta let me push you around a little bit, and eventually you get a paycheck out of it.
Welcome.
By bringing me on as an expert, this is my audition, right?
No, the audition happens later.
Yeah, you'll know when there's an audition. There'll be a lot more cameras.
Same amount of lights, though. We got the studio lights set up.
Thank you for joining us, Chad. Now, I mean, if people cast their minds way back,
way back,
you and your co-host Mark were on back in issue 43 to talk about Green Lantern and stuff like that. You guys, obviously, you've hosted the Lantern Cast for a long time.
Oh, do they?
Very long-running podcast. But fun fact for the people that think you're only a Green Lantern guy, you're also a Ragman guy. Want to tell us a little bit about why you're that?
Honestly, I don't really know when I discovered him in terms of timeline. I know that the first time I discovered him was the 2010 Ragman one-shot special.
Right.
That came out. So that one is actually a pretty good encapsulation. It's just kind of his history, just real quick, one and done sort of a thing. You get an idea of his power set and everything. But me personally, and I said this, ages ago, on the episode you just mentioned, but I just like the idea of just powers or superheroes where the power is something that kind of happens to you as opposed to something you're born with, or your parents have to die in an alley and you have to be a billionaire and all this stuff. Yeah. So Green Lantern, you just have to be capable of overcoming the things that hold you back. Ragman, it's a suit of souls passed down through your family. A Thor, technically is an Asgardian, but a magic hammer, so on and so forth. Venom, it's an alien symbiote. All those things are some of my favorite characters, bar none.
Right.
So I think we've all been there as people who were picked on in school and stuff like that. The idea of something coming out of nowhere and giving you powers to rise up above everybody else. And
have I given the impression that I was bullied? I very much was. Fun fact: a white kid in Ontario that takes karate has to take karate.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, wait a minute. Is that why my parents put me in karate? Yeah. I'm starting to sense a pattern.
Yeah.
Cooksul one for me.
Okay, so you love Ragman. Mm-hmm. You've got the Suit of Souls blog. Mm-hmm. What's your sense of the Ragman fan community? Are there lots of secret Ragman fans out there?
Seems like there might be.
Just waiting for someone to do proper ongoing justice to their favorite character, because Ragman gets a series once in a blue moon, or he shows up on a team, or he's in a few issues of Justice League Dark or something. Are all of these Ragman fans just like waiting for the prophecy to be fulfilled?
I mean, Richard partly said it. Apparently there are. I mean, it's one of your most popular episodes to date, right?
That is true. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. I want to know how.
Who did you pay?
I don't know about number one, but Ragman's one of those characters that, a lot of the DC fans will go, yeah, Ragman. I love Ragman. I haven't seen him in forever. It's just they don't have the opportunity to express that because he doesn't really show up anywhere.
Right.
But when he does, they're like, oh my God, because the blog, look, the Lantern Cast takes up a lot of my free time. So it's not like I've updated the blog in a long time. But when I do, and when I launched it, there was a lot of people that like just immediately subscribed to the blog. And anytime I bring him up, there's always somebody who has to say something about whatever it is I'm posting, whether it's related to the blog or something I mentioned on the Lantern Cast offhandedly, if we happen to talk about something else that somehow connects the two. It's just one of those characters that I think that really speaks to people. And we can get into the whys later, but like I don't know about like a secret cult, but it's just like, it's kind of like a Firestorm. I think Firestorm is one of my favorite characters, but it's not like you get a chance to like profess that love or find a home for it.
Yeah, sure. Fair enough. Yeah. All right. Well, here's a fun little factoid here. Years ago, we did a Ragman episode. It's issue number 6. It's one of the first episodes of the podcast.
I can't believe
it's way back. A real throwback. And in that,
also don't listen to that.
In that issue, we talked about the very first issue of Ragman. It's Ragman Volume 1, number 1. For this episode, we're launching forward, casting our minds forward to somehow a single issue that all three of us own. I mean, not a surprise necessarily that Chad and I own it. A surprise that Richard has it. And it's Ragman Volume 3, number 1, which is the most recent Ragman series. It's the first issue of the most recent Ragman series. We all read it so that we could talk about it before we got into the questions. So I think it only makes sense to start with you, Richard. What did you think of this issue? Because you already now have a familiarity with the character and his powers. We've talked about him for years. What did you think of this?
Well, yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is I was coming into it not necessarily expecting it to be the modern take on that character. I was still envisioning the Ragman that we had talked about in issue 6, which is like the 70s sort of concept, right? Which is like there's Vietnam vet, like, and I was expecting him to like electrocute his dad and his buddies or something. So surprised that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I thought it was no surprise. The modern take is like a Middle Eastern, Afghanistan-y, Egypt kind of situation.
It's got sort of like war in Iraq kind of vibes.
Yeah. They were like in a tomb, which makes me think Egypt, but then they say like it's Arabic, but not, which makes me think that it's Afghanistan. But I'm like, those two things. And even
the design feels more like it's supposed to be riffing on like a mummy, like an Egyptian-y kind of thing.
But then it's like clearly like it's Afghani, like Afghanistan soldiers.
We're blending.
Yeah,
it's probably in like a fictional DC country.
Whatever. It's like sand people. Like it doesn't matter. Like they're all the same.
That was a Tuscan Raider. I'm not a racist.
I was about to say you're gonna just refer to all Arabs as sand people. Okay.
We were talking about Star Wars. It was a perfectly perfect thing that we did.
Racist. That's a name I haven't heard.
Not true. I thought that was an interesting take on it. I liked the framing of it. Like it was definitely like a modern media take on this type of character with like the hopping in between like the past and the future.
Yeah.
Like you could very much see that it was influenced by like modern like war media and movies and stuff like that. It was definitely like a more contemporary take for sure. I liked the young hot Rory Regan.
Yeah, he can get it.
He was a snack. Yeah. It wasn't like the disheveled fucking like PTSD version that we had.
Well, but I mean, he clearly has PTSD. He's at like his Buddy's kid's birthday party. The kid hits the pinata and he's like, oh shit,
explosion.
Like, yeah.
He keeps going back to this moment where they were inside of this tomb and they basically like unleash.
Yeah, it's weird because they're basically like grave robbing.
Yes.
Him and some other soldiers.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Three Kings situation.
And they kind of like unleash the Suit of Souls in this story.
I think it's part of the reason why I also thought that it was Afghanistan was it's like feels like the Three Kings sort of grave robbing Afghani warriors kind of thing. But yeah, they break into this like grave tomb sort of thing and unleash the Suit of Souls. And at the same time, it seems like there was somebody like coming after them.
These sort of monsters with like these glowing eyes and shit like that.
Yeah.
And all of his buddies die.
Yeah, except for him.
And
then there's sort of a cutting back between him sort of like in these like support groups and like at his friend's party is basically like showing the PTSD.
Yeah.
Though he's really just cutting between this one single moment, which I mean, yeah, traumatic.
Yeah.
And eventually he sort of like comes home and his dad's just like, I care about you. Like, why are you shutting me out?
Yeah.
Like,
big departure from the first book.
Yes.
His dad's not drunk in an alley.
Yes. With his buddies like harassing him.
Yeah.
So and then he like sort of I don't really I was trying to figure out where the transition happened, but he just sort of like becomes Ragman out of nowhere.
Yeah, because the suit sort of takes control. He's kind of like a passenger for a bit. But we learn that his buddies are in the suit.
Yes.
These other kind of Ragman-y looking things start coming after him. They go after his dad's shop and stuff like that. And that's sort of
his dad.
That's essentially our setup in here.
Yeah. But we get to see a really cool, like him as Ragman, like going after, there's like a monster fight. I'm not sure where the monster came from.
And he sort of like absorbs the monster into the suit.
Yeah, it was a little bit like chaotic at that moment. Like I was kind of like, what's going on? Where did this monster come from? There was a guy there. Where did he go? Like, it was a bit chaotic to me. But I loved the artwork, and I really loved the usage of like the artwork in that fight. Yeah, like with all of the like the rags going around and stuff. Like I thought that was really neat. And,
I want to just take this chance here. So that's the basic idea of this issue.
Yeah.
I want to throw this over to Chad for a second because I did a thing I don't normally do, and I went and read like a bunch of reviews of this series.
Oh wow!
But like, I went to like Goodreads. I went to like people that like bought the trade.
Oh wow!
And read the whole thing and stuff like that. And it's either they never read Ragman and they think it's pretty good, or they read the original Ragman and they fucking hate it. Those were the two kinds of reviews that I saw. And I'm kind of curious to throw it over to Chad now. We know what this issue is about. Let's do a little compare and contrast. What do you think of the modern update, the grave robbing thing, the kind of weird, possibly Egyptian mummy angle? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so first of all, Richard nailed it. The art by Inaki Miranda is phenomenal. I freaking love Inaki Miranda. He's probably one of my favorite artists right now. He's doing a series called Out of Body right now that's actually really fantastic for the same reasons, because he's just a phenomenal artist. But beyond that, I'm not a big fan of the grave robbery aspect. But I mean,
really?
If we're being honest, in the original interpretation, Rory was a Vietnam veteran.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit that went down in Vietnam by Vietnam soldiers that they're probably not very proud of talking about.
Oh, was that like a war that people maybe had some issues with, or
a famously just war?
Yeah.
So that, I mean, on the one hand, it's like, okay, well, I don't know that the idea of Rory as a pristine Vietnam soldier is a thing.
I mean, you could say the same thing with the Afghanistan war too, though. I mean, maybe not exactly one for one, but yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know about, do we want to go into spoilers about what happens for the rest of it? Because there's more that's revealed, which is part of why a lot of people don't like this.
Yeah, no, we could totally do that. Yeah.
Okay. So later on, it's revealed, by the way, the monsters he's fighting are demons or denizens of hell, because demon is actually technically a rank in the DC universe. And like there's the demon class, the rhyming demons, and so on and so forth. But just beings of hell. And the suit is a mantle from hell. It
Yeah.
was summoned a long, long time ago. It was trapped. It was worn by some people. The Shining Knight beheaded who wore it, and he's the one who imprisoned it in that tomb. So I don't like that, because I mean, the fact that he's still Jewish, the fact that he's still a soldier, that's all fantastic. But to make the suit a weapon of hell, as opposed to something that, you know, the rabbis of the Jewish faith cooked up to help protect the Jewish people.
Yeah.
That, I mean, I'm not Jewish, but that's problematic as I read it.
It sucks. It's not like there's a ton of like awesome Jewish folklore content in DC. It sucks to take one of the things that is and make it a very much more generic weapon of hell kind of story. I agree with that. I mean, I don't know that the story itself is problematic. Like, I don't think the story veers into anti-Semitism or anything, but the act of being like, oh, you had this cool Jewish folklore thing that's sort of unique. We're just going to not do that. It just is disappointing. It sucks. It's bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and the powers are mostly the same. The demons talk about it a little bit. The fact that it steals, souls, but it's the way it's worded in the actual trade paperback is it steals the power of the living and the never born. So it can steal the souls of anybody, demons and such included.
Yeah.
So the fact that it absorbed his friends, like, do you think his friends really suit? I mean, yeah, they're great. They're going off to make a few bucks during their war, but these are relatively good guys. It's a good group of guys. Do you think they qualify to be locked in this suit? I don't know, but they say later on that those souls can be weaponized by the wearer, so pulling on powers, intellect, so on and so forth. So,
yeah, I mean, I think I generally agree. I like it better as that sort of like Jewish golem kind of thing that it was originally. Even aside from that, I think an issue for me, and one that I saw in all of these reviews I was reading, was I think this design is less interesting. It's it's beige and brown. It's very much evoking a mummy. There's things I like about it, like the idea of this sort of glowing something underneath all of the rags, kind of glowing with power or whatever. I kind of dig, but I sort of miss the green and really looking patchwork and stuff from the original suit. I think
it feels more like rags rather than like strands. Right?
Yeah, I think there's a piece of that I'm missing visually. God, I will say I do like that there are a number of sort of beats of this that feel like the original Ragman story. The original Ragman story, he's already Ragman, and we flash back to how he became Ragman. That's a thing that happens in this. The original Ragman, it starts with him absorbing like 4 guys and getting their abilities.
I've been there.
And then this story is pretty contained to like him and his like platoon or whatever you call them, his soldier buds, right? Yeah. There's something kind of contained about that I like. Yeah. You know, we get to at least see Rags and Tatters briefly in this. I like having the shop in there. It seems like in some ways there's a very deliberate effort to be like the original Ragman issue, but then they've also just fully cast off these things that are probably more important than seeing the shop.
I mean, maybe they were trying to make some concessions, like going, since we're making these drastic changes,
maybe
trying to balance it out a little, but I'm still wanting to change those major things.
Yeah. Reading this one, Richard, is it like, I know you talked about sort of the chaos of some of the artwork and stuff like that, but was would you have wanted to keep reading this series? As someone that is now more and more into actually reading serialized comics, going from one issue to the next, was this issue enough to make you go like, yeah, I'll pick up the next one? Or
I'm curious for sure. I think that the like why isn't there for me, like it's like this cool, like this cool beginning. I was like, oh, I'm invested in this storyline, but then like what it turns in towards the back sort of like 10th of the issue, where it's just suddenly like there's these weird demon guys and these monsters came along and then he suddenly Ragman, and I'm like, whoa, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Like, make the first issue just like him the story of him becoming Ragman. It felt like they just shoved a chunk at the very end of this where it was just like, and these two big guys came up and there's monsters, and it's like, okay, I can't hold the fuck on.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's also a very like, we got to get them to read the next issue.
I know, but you could even just do like a wink to something.
Sure.
It just feels like they were just like jamming the back half of this, and I'm like, it's like fucking like 15 pages, like just like chill out, like.
Right.
And I think that's my biggest issue. Like, I'm interested, but I'm like, there's not enough of a reason for me to be like curious about the monster half of it because it didn't give me any context for it. They just sort of were there, and I was like, oh, I guess they're scary. Okay, right. Like, it's not like if I knew that it was heading towards like this connection to hell. Like, I didn't really get that piece of it. So I think had they like nodded towards that, I might be like, oh, okay.
Right.
That's curious. Like, what's the connection to hell? Was that a doorway to hell that they opened? Like,
sure.
What? So I think for me, like, I'm missing some pieces, and having just hear Chad talk about the rest of that book, it's sort of like, I'm curious, like, because I don't really have any sort of connection really to the original series. So except for just some passing knowledge. So I think that if I maybe read more issues at once, I might be slightly more interested, but it felt a bit too much jam-packed at the end for me there to be like fully hooked. If I had just read this out of the context of this episode, I probably wouldn't have been interested in the rest of it, but now knowing it definitely piques my interest a bit more.
Right. So, Chad, the question I've got for you, this is a thing that a conversation that comes up a lot, at least on comic book Twitter, at least where I'm hanging out, is people who love a particular character, and that character doesn't always get the spotlight. And it's sort of this weird balance between you just want to see your character appear because that's awesome, but then also there's this almost protective thing where it's like, also make them appear the way I want them to appear. As a real like Ragman fan, do you remember what you thought of this first issue? I mean, you've obviously had lots of time to reflect on the whole series since it came out, but do you remember what your kind of first thoughts were when you picked this up?
Yeah, I mean, it's on the blog, but I reviewed.
Oh, well, then never mind. Just fucking shut up.
Excuse me. Let me pull up the link and I will read you the whole post.
Let me stop listening to this and I'll fucking just go read something.
Let's keep all the silence in, though, while we're reading.
I mean, I will say DC gave me an advance copy before it came out. So, I mean,
They've got a skewed view, I hear. Okay. Yeah, 5 stars. It was great.
Yeah, because that's how it works. They only give you the advance copy if you promise to say something nice. No, I look, I think you're right. Like, I want the Ragman that I fell in love with in terms of the character, his history, the way he's portrayed, and in both art and story to be what I expect to see.
Sure.
But at the same time, with a character like Ragman, where he hardly ever shows up, there's a balancing act of, do I want to? I mean, I'm one of the places people come to for Ragman stuff, clearly. Yeah. So, like, do I want to shit on this and like turn the people away who are Ragman fans, or do I want to bring as many people who are willing to give it a shot as I can into it? Because, and that's the sort of line we all have to walk. I think with Green Lantern, obviously it's a little bit different. I feel like on the Lantern cast, I'm more free to say, like, you know what, I hate this. This is stupid. I don't like it.
But you're also more certain that Green Lantern will be back again.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And I think you're right. The costume design, it's interesting. There's some cool aspects to it. To me, it could have been increased in value, like 75%, if they would have thrown the hood and the cloak on it.
Right.
Like that would have looked so much cooler to me. And just keep these rags and stuff. Honestly, if this thing had taken place on Earth 13, I'd have loved it.
It's definitely got that kind of like horror design vibe. Yeah, it does, and actually, it looks very much like that interpretation from the Multiversity Guidebook and stuff like that. Yeah, it's true. Maybe that's the issue. It's funny because since appearances, this version of Ragman feels forgotten.
Yeah,
they've gone back to the more original look. More like the sort of classic one, which I guess sometimes just happens when you do a big departure, right? You just run the risk of it being its own little thing that gets swept away.
Yeah. That's just fixing the series was a hood and a cloak, and then make it on Earth 13 because Etrigan is a big player in this. Just make him super demon. Like that would have fixed a whole lot of stuff for me, but that doesn't really come into thing with the the DC's Very Merry Christmas special. They kind of went into who that Ragman is. So that it doesn't fit anymore. But that's in my mind. If they would have just changed Etrigan to Super Demon and put the hood and the cloak on him, and called this Earth 13, perfect.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, we got lots of Ragman questions.
Yeah,
we have the Ragman expert.
We have the Ragman.
We all have read an issue of Ragman. We're in the mindset.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. Well, first we're going over to Facebook.
Going to the face and the book. Going to the Facebook. Thank you, Chad.
Well, listen, I can do the drops. I can join in.
First question comes from Sem E. Esquivel, who asks, what is your opinion of The Tattered Man by Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti?
Wow.
What? I said that perfectly. Nothing could ever go wrong.
Yeah, there's a I think it's like a one-shot Image comic from Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti called The Tattered Man. Now, I have not read it. So I can't tell you what I think of it, but I did read the synopsis of it. I'm going to give you the highlights I remember. You can tell me what you think this sounds like. So from the horrific location and ashes and souls lost in a Nazi concentration camp, a collection of rags comes together. It becomes this basically kind of suit that wears people. Essentially, it drives them and takes control of them to enact vengeance. Feels a lot very specifically like a Ragman riff.
Yeah.
And yet I looked at some interviews and stuff. No one ever mentions they're very careful.
Really?
It seems to never mention Ragman. Chad, did you ever read The Tattered Man?
I read it. Yes. Actually, I still need the actual issue. I've read it digitally.
Right.
But it's an Image comic. Richard, we know you love indie stuff, so I think you should pick some of this up. By the way, you guys need to do an indie episode at some point, just so we can all geek out. But regardless, honestly, to me, it read more like it's the Spectre.
Yeah.
Because you just said Spirit of Vengeance.
Yeah, totally.
And I mean, there's a lot of imagery in here because you refer to the concentration camps. The collection of rags that it's pulling from is like the Star of David on the people in the mass grave and stuff like that. So it's super intense and super heavy. The setup going into the issue is a little weird because this group of kids just bust into this old dude's house and to rob him, and they're not finding anything of value, so they find this box with a swastika on it and they open it up and it's these rags,
right? And
they point a gun at him. They're like, "Where's all your valuables? Like, what is this? You got 2 minutes to tell us what this is." And he's like, "I'm going to tell you a story." And he just launches into this story about the Holocaust. So,
and that's how I met your mother.
So it's super weird. But later on, these same people awaken the suit, and then it possesses each of them. So it's like a parasitic specter.
Yeah.
That latches onto like these 3 or 4 different people and then goes out into the world at the end of the issue. And obviously it's sort of left at, we could follow up on this anytime.
Yeah.
It looks hella like Ragman, specifically this Ragman and what we just were reading. But I agree with you. It feels sort of Ragman, but we'll get into it a little bit later. Ragman's not necessarily about vengeance.
Yeah.
So Ragman's more of a redemption character.
It's all this. Then you're right. This almost feels like this came out way before this idea existed, but this feels like a dark multiverse kind of thing.
Yeah.
What if the Spectre and Ragman were one thing?
Yeah.
yeah. It definitely has that kind of vibe to it.
I don't want to embarrass you, but It's tatters, not rags. Those are very different things.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's fine. You can leave now.
Oh Jesus.
All right, let's go to the next question.
Let's do it.
Which means we're leaving Facebook and heading on over to Twitter.
That's Twitter.
First question comes from Mosaic Comics, who asks, if Ragman hoards enough souls, could they eventually work together to take control of the suit and become some kind of haunted rag monster hungry for screams? Also, if Rory dies while wearing the suit, does his soul get trapped inside of it?
So, two different questions. But kind of, I mean, sort of going off this question of the Tattered Man and how things work in that story. Let's talk about, how does the suit work? We know that Rory can draw on the abilities and knowledge of the souls trapped in his suit. But yeah, what if the souls banded together? Can they communicate with each other? Could they take control from him?
They can. I'm curious if you know the answer to this.
Does this happen in Blackest Night?
No, in Blackest Night, it's just a quick shot of, like, obviously they're resurrecting the dead.
Yeah.
So the rings descend on Rory.
Oh, right.
And one ring goes to each patch, and then it splits off from him in this crazy thing.
That's
and
right.
Each of the patches become a resurrected lantern.
That's right.
Yeah.
Then no, I don't remember offhand.
Mm-hmm.
So in the 2010 Ragman Suit of Souls one shot, Rory goes to this rabbi, and he's all pissed off, and he's asking, what causes a man to be ashamed of his Jewish heritage? And the guy's not understanding, so he finally just reveals, screw it, you're not going to understand what I'm about to say. So he says, I'm Ragman. Yeah. And then he launches into the history of Ragman. Basically, this whole thing is he's upset at his father because he found out that in 1943, in the Warsaw Ghetto, when the Germans were taking, the residents from their homes, they all organized, the Jews organized to fight the Germans back. Well, because the Germans couldn't take over and take charge again, they decided to burn the place down.
Yeah.
Rory's father was there as Ragman. He left a day before the whole Warsaw Ghetto uprising thing ended. So he left his people. So Rory's upset about this. He doesn't know what happened. His father was never really a practicing Jew in any way, shape, or form. So he feels that his father abandoned his people and was ashamed of his religion.
Right.
He goes into the suit to meet one of the souls that's still trapped in there from that time. And it's a German soldier. And it turns out that, by the way, one of the weaknesses of the suit is fire. And it turns out that because one of the weaknesses is fire, the souls in the suit cannot be redeemed if they're destroyed. So all the souls in the suit were scared, didn't want to lose their chance at redemption, exerted control over the suit, and put fear into Rory's father and got him the hell out of there.
That's cool.
So the suit saved itself.
Wow.
Yes.
I always think that, like, when someone's like weak to fire, I'm like, I mean, yeah, like that's not weakness. That's just fire hurts. Like
the thing that's at every emergency.
Yeah. It's like, does that negate you as a superhero at that point? Like, it's like, if fire hurts you, then so should, like, everything else. Like that's a pretty basic element.
This has actually happened before, though. Shadow Pact. Etrigan shows up, and Rory talks about how the souls wouldn't respond to him. Well, I mean, if fire hurts, I can only imagine what hellfire does.
Yeah.
So they got scared of Etrigan and wouldn't respond to Rory.
You're right. We're right.
Do you mean fabric can light on fire? It's just
I want to see a scene of Rory, like, having to spray like chemicals, like the way they do it for, like, theaters for the the blacks and stuff in theaters. They kind of spray all those chemicals on.
I just want to see
now. You guys can't burn. Now you have to listen to me.
Can you imagine having to, like, like even just like light a candle dressed as Ragman, you're just like, oh god, like everything is flammable. Like you're wearing all material, like and it's draping off of you. Like you're really asking for trouble.
That's pretty funny.
That's ridiculous. You don't want to see him at a campfire.
Should we talk about what the actual powers are then, if we're going to get into this? Because
Yeah, we might as well. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so this is sort of it's an engine of redemption, basically. The idea is it steals the souls, and the word is used a lot. That's why I say it, is it absorbs the souls of evildoers into the suit. And if those people were to die rather and go into the afterlife as opposed to being absorbed into the suit, those souls would most assuredly go to hell.
Right.
By working within the suit, Rory can converse with them, draw on their memories, draw on their knowledge, draw on their specialties. Like if he has like a sniper in there, he can pull them out and have the abilities of a trained sniper. And if he needs to lift a car, the strength of 10 of the souls in his suit, so on and so forth. And through the use of these souls, they slowly, depending on what they did, gain their redemption and escape into the afterlife, aka heaven.
Yeah.
So this is an engine of redemption that was built by rabbis. It's been passed down. Shadow Pact reveals it. It's been passed down in Rory's family since the time of Abraham. And it's taken on different forms. It's been a spear, it's been a dagger, it's been a cloak, and now after about the 1600s, it's going to be a suit of rags. So the question then is, so he is weak to fire, but what if he absorbs someone who has an ability that they're immune to fire?
Well, shit. Yeah, right. Okay. But then I guess the question is...
Oh, is this what
are the things that he's drawn on active in the suit, like a special armor, or are they imbuing them to him? When he draws on the strength of 10 men, is he making the suit as strong as 10 men, or is he making himself wearing the suit as strong as 10 men? Because he could be invulnerable to fire and the suit could still burn off him, unless he's drawing on the thing and it's empowering the suit. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah, I mean, because he gets hit with bullets all the time and he just sort of spreads the damage out. And the other question and that's not something that's what you just asked isn't really, as far as I'm aware, 100% answered in what we've gotten so far.
I guess you're just supposed to assume that they're one and the same. If Rory is getting the ability, it includes his suit, because that's where the powers come from in the first place.
Like if he absorbs Superman's soul, does he get laser eye power?
I guess. If he absorbed the Injustice Superman, because he wouldn't be able to.
Well, yeah,
I guess.
So that's him then.
Yeah.
But also, like, the question that also isn't answered is like, if you become a soul in the suit and he's distributing, let's say, the force of a bullet hitting him to one of the souls in the suit, does that soul act like a human? Like, if I got hit with a bullet, I'm dead. But because it's a soul, can it take a little bit more damage?
Right.
Or if he is it a 1-for-1?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I don't think I have an answer to that.
No.
But I think that would be like maybe the next fun thing to try and plumb with that character. It's like, we kind of know how he uses the power, but how does it like affect the ones that he's using? Like, I think that would be kind of interesting.
Well, what about the other half of this question, which is if Rory dies while wearing the suit, does his soul get trapped inside of the suit?
So I guess the real question is, Rory wearing the suit, does he get to extend to himself the same offer, where it's like, I guess, if assuming he's going to hell.
He's also not
but if
evil,
he's not going to hell, I guess that doesn't work.
Unless he's just already in there, and they're like, well, I mean, even if you're good, like, you're still in there, like.
Right. Yeah, Chad, what do you think?
The 2016 Ragman? Yes. The Ragman before? No, because he's not an evildoer.
Yeah.
In the reboot, or whatever you want to call this, the series, the first issue that we just read, it's just anything living or non-living. It's any being in any way, shape, or form, like we saw with his soldier buddies. So I would say the Ragman we just read, yes, the Ragman from before or pre-crisis, there's no suit of souls. Post-crisis, before this up until this 2016 series, no, he's not going to be absorbed by the suit because he's not an evildoer. Unless he becomes an evildoer, passes down the suit to his kid, then his kid could absorb him in the suit, I guess. While he's wearing it, I don't know. The suit it has a desire to add more souls to it. It's not just like, okay, we're going to get down to the last soul and then done. No more need to add any more. No, it wants to perpetuate itself. It is an engine. When I say engine, I mean that literally. It's an engine of redemption. It has a purpose to continue going, to continue itself in its own existence. So, I guess if he suddenly went on a murderous rampage while in the suit, he became an evildoer. The suit has its own need to absorb evildoers. In that case, I guess, yeah.
Interesting. Good questions.
Yeah. All right, let's continue on. We're leaving Twitter and heading on over to Reddit,
where everyone's nice and no one's ever mean.
That's right. Not for us. First question comes from Dante's Fire, who asks...
Oh, God, watch out, Ragman. Oh, shit.
Holy God.
Who asks, what if the DCU and the Dial Doc universe had an amalgam type crossover and Ragman was created? What would be his powers and origin?
What would be the powers and origin of Ragman?
Hold on. Let's tell the listeners, what are Man's powers again?
Great question. No idea. Well, actually, no, that's not true. I think we finally settled on it because at first we had only decided that how he transforms into Man.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Which was like he would say, "I'm gonna come," and like Shazam, but instead of a bolt of lightning, a bucket of cum would drop from the sky, and he would become Man. And I'm pretty sure we recently decided we gave him the power of like semen kinesis.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Because that means he can pull it out of other people too.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Mira can pull the water out of you. He can pull the cum.
I think I have a catchphrase for him now too.
Sure.
He like pulls his glasses down and he goes, "I'm feeling salty." Jesus Christ. Someone should have eaten pineapple.
Okay, well, I think pineapple for Man is like a blue lantern standing next to a green lantern.
Oh, yeah.
Like really.
Oh, yeah. Amps him up. Yeah.
Real supercharge that power. Okay, so Man has the power of cum kinesis. Yeah. Ragman is redeeming souls of evildoers.
Oh, no.
Let's put these two together.
I've got it, and it's not good.
Is it just that... masturbation is a sin, so Ragman, if by absorbing your cum can redeem your soul, gets your abilities?
It's like, like if you believe in Christianity, that like children come into this earth and they need to be baptized, otherwise they're going to hell.
Oh no.
So
oh no. Oh no.
He just sends
I'm just waiting for Richard to explain it because he brought the word children into the mix. So
that means that he absorbs all your future children and sends them to the like he gets to be absorbed.
Oh Lord. I mean, in this Ragman series we just read, they do refer to the Neverborn.
Yeah, I mean they're
well, shit.
Wields the ability of what future children could become.
I was going to say Ragman's weakness is having to bend or be flexible at all.
It's just crusty. That's what I was going to say. He has to wash the suit constantly. Otherwise he has mobility problems.
But then it just beads up. And
he just always hides the suit behind his bed. And then like years later when he's doing something else, his parents will find it when they're cleaning out his room.
Yeah.
They'll be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. I feel like we've solved this.
Gross. Yeah. Thank you. Reddit.
Rory's constantly hooking up in his hookups apartments rather than his own because it smells awful.
Oh yeah,
in his place.
It's kind of like bleachy, but
also, Ragman's costume is made entirely out of mismatched socks.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah. That's good. And tissue paper.
Good Lord. Vile. What? I want to know at what point our listeners felt that we were the kind of show where you could just ask these kind of questions. Outrageous.
I'm appalled.
This is a family show.
I mean, we're talking about making families here.
Is it the fans who flock to this content, or the people that created the content out of their own head?
It's a real chicken egg situation.
Yeah. Schrodinger's come.
Yeah, that's. Go on. Next question.
Next question comes
Jesus
from
Christ.
Business Review 532.
Oh, good. I hope it was good.
Yeah. Who asks, who does Ragman team up with?
Well, Chad's already mentioned the Shadow Pact.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that team for a little bit. Certainly not the only people Ragman has teamed up with, but notable team of Ragman associates.
Yeah. Detective Chimp, who you should know.
Oh, yeah.
Enchantress, and I think some that the listeners may not be aware of as much. I'm sure you guys have talked about them at some point or another on the show, but Nightshade and Nightmaster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Nightmaster being
Nightmaster,
the owner
Jim
of
Rook.
Oblivion Bar. Yeah.
Nightshade is one of the old Charlton characters.
Mm-hmm.
Blue Devil.
Mm-hmm.
Briefly like Black Alice, Phantom Stranger, sort of on the outskirts.
Zariel.
Zariel. The Shadow Pact is a team that came together in one of my favorite like DC Magic stories, Day of Vengeance, where the Spectre goes rogue and takes out like the heavy hitters, and then all of these like lower tier Magic characters have to fight the Spectre. That's one of my favorite Magic stories, and Ragman's really good in that one. He's got a cool he's in all of it, but he's got a cool issue that he narrates that I enjoy very much of that series. There's some fun, real kind of human moments too, where he's like, he's like, I'm a real hero, kind of like some things like that. And then he gets too like amped up on adrenaline. He tries to kiss Enchantress and she laughs at him and the team laughs at him. And he's like, I misread the moment. I'm sorry. It's a real kind of like, actually, I feel like the Shadow Pact would be like a thing that like a James Gunn would do very well.
Yeah,
it's got like an interesting blend of like these things that are very genre-y, like horror and magic, and also the kind of fun personal dynamics. So yeah, Ragman's great in that one.
That's
I really
awesome.
like that.
Dope.
Who are some of your other favorite Ragman affiliates or team ups?
So in the New 52 series, Batwoman, the very last arc of that was called Batwoman and the Unknowns.
Mm-hmm.
And that was her teaming up with her sister, Black Alice. And then you had like Clayface, Ragman. I have the trade. I just can't remember like the Demon. Yeah, that's it. Batwoman, Clayface, Ragman. And it's the Unknowns, and it's a fan. I mean, they have to stop like a spaceship from launching at some point. Like, it's a whole kind of thing. But I think one of the most under talked about times Ragman has shown up, he wasn't necessarily significant in the series, but he has appeared a lot throughout, was Trinity. In the Trinity series, there's this a team that's formed that's called Justice Arcana, and Justice Arcana has like, help me remember, it's like Aquaman and Mr. Terrific and Cyborg and Black Orchid and a bunch of people.
It's sort of like a weird amalgam of very science-y and then also very magic-y characters, which is sort of interesting and fun.
And the story of Trinity, outside the fact that Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman are not here, the actual story of Trinity is still kind of fuzzy to me. I think it was fuzzy to anybody reading it actively at the time.
Yeah,
what was actually supposed to be happening, but
it's for a book that has the logos of the three biggest DC superheroes on it. It is like the least traditional. It's one of the least traditional kind of superhero comics I've ever read. I've just been picking up issues of it again and going back through it, and I was like, I don't remember this shit at all. Wow.
It's one of those events nobody talks about. And it's also the only time, I'm pretty sure, because I went looking and I couldn't find it, and unless I missed something, I'm pretty sure that's the only time we're ever introduced to Ragman's sidekick Tatters.
Oh shit.
And I don't know where he came from or what his origin is, but yeah, Ragman's sidekick.
I think
Tatters.
it was Nazi Germany.
Oh no. Oh no.
His boy sidekick, very Robin-esque.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good thing it's regular Ragman. Let's just put it that way. I'll just throw one more out there just because I think I think the assortment of characters is very funny, and it makes me. I picture a boardroom of people being like, "Can we use this one?" And they go, "No." "Can we use this one?" And they go, "No." And they just keep doing that. Is when Ragman shows up on Arrow of all fucking shows, and he's on a team with like Arrow and Mr. Terrific and Wild Dog. It's
and
like,
Artemis.
It is bonkers that he's in that show at all.
He's way overpowered for that group.
I mean, they write him out because of that.
Yeah.
But like it's bonkers that he's there with like Wild Dog is like, I have guns and a hockey mask, and he's like, I consume souls.
They actually never get to that.
Yeah.
They never
that's
get to
true.
that.
He just is kind of like Rag Kinetic in the show.
Yeah, kind of Spawn-esque sort of thing. I interviewed Joe Dinical, the guy who played him.
Yeah.
I just haven't released that content yet. It'll drop the same day this episode does. But
hot damn.
yeah, so I won't plug it right here right now. Don't worry. But I interviewed him, and actually, if you think about it, the Ragman and Arrow is very faithful to the original Suit of Souls concept because, well, other than the fact that he's not a soldier, there's a lot of in the very first time he shows up, I think it was like episode 2. He mentions like my family has had these rags since the time of Devarim, which is a Jewish reference to a Jewish thing, and they never specifically say it absorbs souls, but he was one of the residents of Haven Rock, the town that Felicity directed the nuclear missile to, and it blew up the town. And he talks about how his father draped him in the rags, and they died, but he survived.
Yeah,
and then later on in one of the other episodes, he talks about how the souls of Haven Rock call out to them. So they never specifically say what the suit does.
They kind of dance around it a little.
Yeah. And they write him off the show because he like throws himself over a nuke that Felicity isn't able to like deactivate. And that he survives, but the suit is depowered, which to a Ragman fan basically means all the souls in the suit have sacrificed themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some crazy shit.
That. Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next question from Diaper Gal Kate.
Oh God. I mean, good on you.
To see my like keywords thrown right in my face is just, it's tough, you know.
I feel like we really reap what we sow on this show.
I don't understand what.
Yeah, you've all got to subscribe to the Patreon if you want to find out what that means.
Oh, yeah. Diaper Gal Kate asks, is Ragman the most powerful person against anyone with large amounts of guilt? And is he kinky? I mean, Ragman is definitely kinky. Just because they're crusty and hard.
Jeez Louise.
It's
okay.
always hard.
Yeah.
Here's a question that I thought of while we were talking about something else, but it's sort of a sub question to this that I want to throw to Chad here. Because let's take the post-crisis Suit of Souls. It's made by rabbis to protect the Jewish people and that. Does that mean it only kind of has power over like terrestrial souls? Could the Suit of Souls reach out to, let's say, like a corrupted Superman? Or like, is there no access to Rao and like the Kryptonian, Skyland and underworld in the sphere of the gods? Like, what is the limit on the Suit of Souls that way? Because I think that would partly answer this question. Are there characters that are just fully like beyond his jurisdiction, I guess, like spiritually they're across state lines? Like
I don't know. It's hard because of all the different incarnations. It's hard to say because one of the teams we didn't mention, Justice League Dark. Yeah. He's currently a part of appearing in the backups of Justice League. He displays a power in that I've never seen, or at least I don't know where it originates from, if it showed up. Because in preparation for all this, like I read a lot of stuff, including the entirety of Shadow Pact, and I don't remember seeing it. But he like accesses some sort of demonic dragon sort of creature in one of those backups and transforms into like a dragon covered in the Ragman suit.
Yeah.
Which is the first time I've ever seen him shapeshift, as far as I know, unless I missed something somewhere or I'm forgetting something. Which means that Ragman can clearly access some sort of demonic beings.
Yeah.
And the Ragman of the series we read probably would, because he was absorbing demons and stuff in there. So I would think he could absorb like Trigon. I just think if we're talking purely the Suit of Souls concept as it existed post-Crisis and between that and the 2016 series, probably not, because it says the souls of evildoers.
Right.
Technically, like Trigon is an evildoer, but Trigon is like pure evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he is evil. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would think it has to be somebody who has like the choice.
Yeah. I mean, because again, their soul could just go straight to hell or something like that. But I guess then for the question, if they have any degree of guilt, they might make the choice to join the suit. So it's not quite like the Ghost Rider penance stare or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I guess there's like an element of, if you've got guilt, maybe you're more likely to choose to try and work that off to get into heaven than to just like, fuck you and go straight to hell.
The other question is though, like, because when you say guilt and evildoers are not the same thing, but they have been in the DC. Now, forgive me, I haven't read Hellblazer or the Lucifer series, but I've watched the hell out of the Lucifer Netflix series.
Sure, yeah.
In that, it's revealed that the demons, angels, all this, they all self-actualize. It's also revealed that the way hell works is you decide if you're going to hell. If you're feeling guilty about something, you will relive that torment, that moment forever and ever until you can learn to forgive yourself.
Right.
Does that pull from the comics? If so, does that apply to the DC universe at large?
Right.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the heaven and hell thing is tricky because it changes depending on the writer in DC. Yeah, I think that the general principle of people's own guilt, I think that's definitely part of it. But there is also, in DC has an objective good and evil. Like there's like an inherency to those things that's baked into DC that's not baked into Marvel. Where that's why we have characters who have like committed mass murder, but they are inherently good, and you eventually must root for them. That's a Harley Quinn or someone like that. Like the arc of her myth is that she is inherently good, regardless of what she does. Now, if she dies before she gets to the part of her arc where she would redeem herself, she would probably go to hell, but she would probably send herself there. I think Joker would go to hell, but he would probably send himself there because that's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not because he's guilty, but because he's like, yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's maybe a little bit of both. Yeah, crazy. I think Ragman is pretty crazy powerful. I don't know that he could take down Trigon or something like that, but he's pretty powerful.
For sure. Unless he absorbed the souls of people who could.
I guess.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. There's weird layers to it.
Yeah.
I could see a version of this where if like Ragman is like, if this is like a post-apocalypse thing and Ragman's one of the last ones standing and he's absorbed the powers of all sorts of other main characters we know that are like, have the option to join his suit, and that then drawing on all of those, I could see like the ultimate kind of Ragman, the final Ragman could pull some shit like that off, but just him just like in main continuity the way we're normally seeing him, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I buy that.
Yeah, I just think that because he's weak to fire, but also like the yellow sunlight that powers Superman, the souls in his suit are a finite resource until he collects more.
Yeah.
So if he absorbs somebody who could take down Trigon, okay, like, and we keep using him, but he's like one of the more powerful demonic examples, I guess, in the DCU. But like, he could use the power of someone in there, but how much of that soul's power does it take? How close are they to redemption? How long does he have access to said power?
Oh, so does it drain them based on it? Like,
well, it's like they're working off their sentence. So let's say he gets someone who's powerful enough to do it, but they only have, you know, X quantity of work to put in. Is that enough time to take down Trigon before that soul is redeemed and released to heaven?
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, that puts a different thing in there. Yeah, if you like just like jaywalked or something. Like...
well, it's... And I don't mean to go on too long, but like also the souls have their own autonomy. Yeah. They're trapped in there. They're not slaves. They're not like the Indigo tribe in the DC universe where, you know, the compassion rings come on and they're forced to be compassionate. Right. There are plenty of examples where he'll take in somebody and interrogate them, but he is using the power of other souls to force that one individual to talk.
Yeah.
Which is working off their sentence. So like it's a whole cycle. So if let's say he absorbs somebody powerful enough to take down Trigon, absorbs Trigon, the person he used to absorb Trigon is now redeemed and out of there. How much power does it take to hold on to Trigon?
Yeah, that's interesting.
If you like does he just get more regs the more people?
Yeah.
So yes. Like does it get to the point where he's just like a Katamari Damacy, like just a giant ball of regs? Just like rolling around absorbing things.
I mean, technically, yes, because that's the thing in Day of Vengeance. The Spectre burns out a bunch of the souls in his suit, and his cloak, his cape is visibly smaller. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Yeah. All right, let's go on to the next question, which means we're leaving Reddit and heading out over to the Doc Squad.
Oh shit!
Now, just sing.
Come on, Doc's the Squad.
Oh,
girls, Doc's the Squad. Doc's Squad.
Doc's Squad.
Doc's the Squad. God, you're cool.
I'm not gonna lie, I still had the word "come" in my brain, and I was like, "Come on, feel the noise." Sure.
I thought you were gonna say I still had cum in my mouth.
No, I don't. I never do that before recording.
Yeah, it's usually after.
With your all's love of yacht rock, I'm surprised y'all always typically go more classic rock as opposed to yacht rock. Come on.
You made you had started by saying it was classic rock, and then you just sort of,
and now it's just whatever I can.
You abandoned it because you couldn't continue.
Sometimes it's butt rock, sometimes it's yacht rock. Although I haven't done any like Hall & Oates or anything in a while. Yeah. I could have done like "You Make My Dark Score." Ooh, doo, 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 doo. Fuck, I shouldn't be using these.
No.
Damn.
Does grabbing the mic make your voice better?
No, but it helps. It makes my confidence better.
He needs it. First question comes from the other Ryan.
All right.
Who asks, if you were able to use Ragman's suit of souls for 5 years, but then you'd be trapped in it for all of eternity afterwards.
Oh, Jesus.
Would you do it?
How bad of a person am I?
I mean, that's a great question.
Even after using the soul suit for 5 years, I'm so bad I'm stuck there forever.
Yeah. Would you do it?
Ah, Jesus. I mean, I guess not.
I mean, I don't think 5 years is enough.
I don't even want to be alive forever, let alone just like a soul languishing in fucking limbo.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't. What about you?
If the difference was like, I'm going to go to hell anyways.
I mean, you are.
So
I don't even believe in hell. I think it only exists for you.
It's called Richard's Hell for a reason.
Yeah.
I think I would, only just because I'm like, well, if I'm going to end up in the suit anyways, I've got to be bad, and that means I'm going to go to hell, and I'd rather go in the suit. And it says for eternity. I'm assuming that's just like on a sentence, though, but maybe you can like get out early for good behavior.
Right.
Where it's like 25 to life, but it's like, well, you're really going to probably get out in like 10. Like maybe it's less than what it actually seems like.
Wow, you're putting a lot of faith in the system, man.
Look, I'm going to go to hell anyways. I may as well believe in something.
Right.
I would probably do it.
You would do it.
And what I would probably do is, one, I would spend two directions. I would
be
either
absorbing the souls of a bunch of lawyers so that later when you were in the suit, they would all work with you to get you off your eternity sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. That's a reference to something we can talk about.
Oh.
I don't know if he knows that.
I don't.
Lawyers. I don't?
Shadow Pact.
When in Shadow Pact does he absorb a lawyer? When am I?
No, he doesn't absorb a lawyer. A lawyer shows up to get Blue Devil out of his deal.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
What I would probably do is groom someone to take the suit.
Careful with where this goes. Sounds like you're going to need that eternity sentence.
For 5 years, I basically just set that person up to be the best Ragman possible so that I can get off my sentence earlier.
Right.
Either that or I spend like 1 year basically only gaining the souls of people that are going to make the next 4 years even better. So like a guy who's really good at making margaritas, like a chef, like someone who's just like great.
Right. So you go full hedonist.
Yeah.
You just use fun souls for the time you have the suit, and then you're just in the fucking suit.
Yeah. But at least I went out,
Sure. That's one way to do it. Chad, would you take this insanely one-sided deal that was proposed to us?
No, because I don't want to live forever. But also, my mind, the first thing I interpreted it as like I used the suit for 5 years, but then I am trapped in the suit.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, like I'm in the suit. I'm still me. My soul is still in my body. I am locked into the suit and cannot get out of it, or cannot get out of this. Yeah.
Oh, I read it as the soul being part of the suit.
It could be either way.
That's an even crazier one, though. You want to be Ragman for 5 years, and then at the end of that, you keep being Ragman forever.
Oh, hell yeah. I would do a double now.
My first thought when I thought of it that way is, what about my sex life? But I don't have much.
I mean, Rags can do some incredible things.
Let me introduce you to a character we created.
But being trapped as a soul, like, are you the only soul in there who can't be redeemed?
Yeah, because like forever? Everyone else comes and goes. That's so depressing. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that
so
feels
if you're going to hedonistically load it up with bartenders and stuff, your work's going to be gone eventually, and then you're just still stuck in there.
Yeah, but what a ride.
Yeah, you're all about the like burning bright briefly.
Yeah. Call me Icarus. I have fun with that.
Interesting.
Man, did I look beautiful flying in that sun.
It seemed to me you lived your life
in the wind.
Oh, should have used that one. Your dogs just scored like a dog scored in the wind.
You're like 5,000 dock squads in the wind.
I can't wait to see Elton John next year.
You're going to see Elton John next year?
Yeah.
Like in concert, or are you friends?
In concert.
That's pretty dope.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
Let's go to the next question. From Cosmic Dom. Whip me from space.
I don't have Starfleet. I have family.
Yeah. Sorry, that's probably the version.
It's a Cosmic Dom.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing Darkseid in sort of gimp gear, just like
yeah. That's what I was sort of thinking of. Yeah, but you're probably right with the space.
I have turned 100,000 pelvises to dust. I will stride across their boners.
Cosmic Dom asks, what's the biggest threat Ragman could feasibly handle? A wizard, a god, a Trigon, or maybe just like a toaster, like just when it first turns on? It's not fire yet, but it's just starting to get hot.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Biggest possible threat.
That he could like feasibly actually handle.
Again, it's comics. A story will do whatever it's going to do. If I was tasked with writing like the last Ragman story, for whatever reason they were like, oh shit, we lost the rights to the character. We gotta like write.
You're thinking about like Superman death sort of book where it's like the other character's going to die, but he will too.
Yeah, if we're doing something like that, I could see him like burning out a bunch of souls, not maybe on like a Trigon level character, but maybe on like, the Demons 3 or, like one of those kind of like relatively high level demons or something.
But who's he typically going out?
It's weird if they're already in hell though. And then the idea is like, you're actually like maybe doing them a favor by taking them out of hell. Like the mechanics of the suit are sort of funny that way. I shouldn't have picked a demon. That was a bad one. But maybe like what would make a soul difficult to get? Does like immortality have something to bear? Like, is it harder to trap someone like a Vandal Savage or shit like that because like the quality of their soul is different? Like something like that might be interesting.
I need the bureaucracy of this.
You love that kind of like, the currency of souls and that sort of thing. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think, Bokel?
I mean, we talked a little bit about it, like the power it takes to absorb somebody super powerful, and then the power it takes to maintain control over them. So I think low level demons is maybe, or low to mid level demons is maybe where you draw the line. Just in terms of generally speaking, because I fall sort of in the middle between you two in terms of thinking on this, because I agree with. I'm not Josh.
Not with that attitude.
I'm trying to get there, man. I bought a Camelback and I bought an Apple Watch to track my steps.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. You and the dog.
Be careful. If you invite Richard's like horny gaze, he's going to start calling you like Chad Bokelman or something like that.
Yeah, you're gonna be Gag Man soon.
My social media is all the nerd fawns. If you want to look me up,
there you go. Look you up and look you down.
But like I'm like Richard in a lot of ways. Like for instance, back in the 70s or so, Denny O'Neil, R.I.P. was the editor of the Batman comics, and he came up with the Batman Bible, which was maybe a 2-page document at the time of like what makes a Batman story. We don't want him going out in space and fighting aliens. We don't want him to do A, B, C, D, which has been added to over the time, and then of course completely dismissed. But like as a Green Lantern fan, I want the same thing. I want to know how the rings can work. I don't want a writer or creative team to ever be locked into that. I don't want them to not think of creative ways to go beyond that, but give me like a basic set of rules for the ring that I can work within. And I think the same, give me a Green Lantern Bible, give me a Ragman Bible. I think generally speaking, low to mid-level demons or powerful entities are probably the way to go. But then you have like Zatannas and stuff like that who can cast spells to defend against stuff. And, so I don't, there are ways around it, but I would say that's probably it, because I'm one of those people who, as powerful as Ragman is, I don't think he should be handling cosmic level threats.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's interesting to have someone that sort of powerful and magical, but still relatively street level.
Well,
In a way, I kind of get him on Arrow, but that show was also like, it still didn't fit, but I kind of get it.
Yeah. Maybe like Black Lightning.
Oh, like if he was on a show like Black Lightning? Yeah, a show where there's some characters with some more actual powers. You're right. Something more like that might be interesting,
all right, let's go to the next question from Ryan the Prime, who asks, where does Ragman rank on the heroes list? Think he could make an appearance on the big screen within the next decade?
So, where does he rank for you? You obviously, Green Lantern's a passion. There's presumably other characters that you care about a lot and things like that. Is Ragman top 3, top 5, top 10 for you, Chad? Where does Ragman sit?
Top 3, probably.
Wow,
nice.
Honestly, yeah. making his interpretation to silver screen, I can see it. I can see how it would be done. I could see how it could be done for relatively cheap. I mean, the only real thing you'd have to figure out effects wise, depending on how effects heavy you want to go with it, is realistically the absorption of souls. But other than that, you know, how does he utilize the soul? Maybe he does like a super jump and that's some CGI or something like that. But like, it could be otherwise like really a dark, a noir, street level, back alley sort of type of film. It wouldn't surprise me, but at the same time, I don't know what DC is even doing anymore at this point. And I don't necessarily mean that like critically. But you know, some I enjoy, some I don't, some hit the mark, some don't. And it's none of them really feel cohesive, even within what's supposed to be cohesive. So I don't know what's next. I don't know where they're going. So within the next 5 to 10 years, anybody's ball game. But if they get their shit together, maybe. Yeah. Like I'm gonna throw the opposite thought out there, which is I do think there's never been more likelihood that a Ragman movie project would happen.
With Suicide Squad,
But no, actually, I'm going the other way because DC is sort of like weirdly amorphous about what is or is not canon. We're getting this Blue Beetle movie. There's a Zatanna treatment happening. There's a Batgirl thing. Who knows? They're just, some of them will connect, some of them won't. Who knows how?
It's a fucking David Blaine magic trick. They're just like throwing a deck of cards and whatever sticks on the other side.
I don't give a shit about that. I just want to see the things.
Yeah.
So, you know, weirdly, it's probably never more within reach than right now when they're just like, does anybody have an idea for a character? They're sort of like looking around the room like, whereas if you were doing like the real meticulous MCU thing, they'd be like, well, why are we bringing Ragman in? What are we opening up if we do this? And you'd have like, almost you need more justification. Whereas right now it's like, if someone shows up with like the right pitch at the right time to the right producer, they'll be like, can you do this for like $40 million? We'll release it on HBO Max. They go like, yeah. They go like, all right, great. And they just happen, you know, like the conditions are right. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. But I think it's like the right time. If anyone out there is like a secret Ragman fan and you have like screenwriting talent, fucking write that script because this is, I think this is your shot.
Where does he rank for you?
I mean, no offense, a lot lower than top 3.
Yes, yeah, obviously, yeah.
I'm not convinced he's breaking top 50. Wow. Not even that I don't like him, but there's just so many fucking characters. Like,
for sure.
I do think he's interesting, though. There's a reason I picked that one all those years ago to read. There's a reason I like when I saw that one, I picked it up. Like I was thinking it was like an antique market or something where I got that one. I was like, what the fuck is a Ragman? Yeah. And then like reading Day of Vengeance, I was like, Ragman again? I thought this was like a one-off. And then like there is something sort of like alluring about this character. And also like think there are bigger characters that have had fewer solo series and stuff than Ragman has. Or even if they've technically had more, they're like weirder, worse, more obscure. Like I think of a character like Captain Atom. I think he has a way rougher history in DC continuity, like and like the way he's treated by creators than Ragman. Yeah. There's something kind of fascinating about that. This like idea that won't go away kind of thing. Like
I think this podcast has skewed my sort of vision of where he stands. Because he's like in like my top 30 probably for sure. I don't think he works as a movie. I think he works as a TV series. I think you do it like a HBO Max.
6-episode miniseries.
Yeah. HBO Max, you play him a bit for horror.
Yeah.
You could probably even do like eight episodes. I'd love to see sort of like a couple episodes where they jump back to like the history of Ragman, where it's like one is like him as the it as the spear, or like you know what I mean. Like you take the opportunities to sort of like give you the context, because I think what's kind of the most interesting part about Ragman is its history and the fact that it's like its connection to like Jewish culture and things like that. And so I would want to see that flushed out a bit more.
Well, yeah, I mean, you'd be giving it more space as a series.
Yeah. So you tells sort of three stories, right? You tell the story of like the suit and its history. You tell the story of the person who's wearing the suit, and then you maybe like take one character from like the beginning of it who is a bad person and then gets redeemed by the end, and sort of like tell sort of three stories over the course of one miniseries.
I sort of wonder if like that HBO Max Swamp Thing, which was clearly setting up a Justice League Dark, if that had kept going and we got like seasons deep and they had this team. I wonder if it was only a matter of time before we would get a Ragman in there. Because, I mean, they had the fucking Phantom Stranger and Madame Xanadu and also Blue Devil and characters in there.
Look, we're about to get a Madame Xanadu.
I wonder. Interesting.
I don't know. They canceled New Gods. I don't know if we're going Madame Xanadu.
Fair.
That's true, too.
All right, next question from Refrigin Ninja.
All right.
Where do I start if I want to read Ragman? I mean, Chad, this is a question directly for you.
Yeah.
The 2010 Ragman one shot, honestly, is probably the best. It shows up everywhere in back issue bins. I try and rescue it as many places as I can. I probably have like 5 to 7 copies of it.
So contact Chad.
It gives you the. It basically does everything except really like elaborate on his time as a soldier. It gives you his family background, its connection to Jewish culture. It tells you how the suit works. It tells you the history of both Rory, his family, and the suit. It gives you this really beautiful artwork, this touch. I mean, you guys use the image in one of the images from that comic book as a way to ask for questions. The other thing I would mention is there was an issue of The Brave and the Bold, which was, and I'm talking The Brave and the Bold as it happened with the animated series, The Brave and the Bold.
The Batman Brave and the Bold.
Yeah. So I'm trying, because I have all the Ragman issues digitally, so I'm trying to find it on my tablet so I can give you guys the exact issue number. But it's fantastic because it's written by like Shali Fish, who did like a lot of like the Scooby-Doo stuff that crossed over with the various members of the League issues and things like that, which were, if you guys have ever read them, fantastically written representations of the various peak characters and heroes from the DC universe. Yeah, they're super faithful. It just happens in the world of the Scooby-Doo and the team. But it gives you the sort of same thing. It doesn't go too far into the Suit of Souls and redemption and vengeance and all this sort of stuff, because it's geared towards kids, but it's also sort of like a Christmas or rather Hanukkah special, right? Nice. Which is also very rare. So it's really well done in that regard, and it does something that I really wish we would. Like, speaking to what I sort of said earlier about Ragman, where I think he should actually be, is it has him confront Batman and says, like, dude, you work uptown or downtown. You work with the League. You don't help these people, because Batman oversees what Ragman is doing. When Ragman stops a thief from stealing an old woman's shopping cart full of glass bottles and aluminum cans. Yeah. That's the kind of crime he's stopping down in the slums of Gotham. So it's actually interesting you mentioned like Black Lightning earlier. It's just like, Batman and Superman and stuff, they're busy. They're doing other stuff that have, especially Batman, have gotten very far away from what they were originally intended to be. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not going to go so far as to be naive enough to say, Batman's not Gotham's hero, but like realistically, Batman's not in Gotham. Like, he's not doing his thing out in Gotham anymore. He's stopping supervillains in Gotham, and he's stopping League-level threats. But he's not going after crime bosses anymore, really. He's not going after, street thugs or anything. Like, that's sort of always been something that has bugged me about Batman lately, is for a kid who lost his parents to senseless random act of violence in an alley, to suddenly be protecting the world on a much larger scale, It makes sense that he wants to be a protector, but it kind of bothers me that he's no longer doing the street level stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Ragman fills that void. Steel over in Metropolis or Black Lightning fulfill that sort of role. While their power can be applied in ways that could be applied on a much larger scale, do they really want Ragman in space? Like, do we really want to see him? Like, we talked about what could he handle, but do we really want to see Ragman try and go up against Trigon, or do you want to see him protect an area of Gotham as best he can?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I agree with that. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. All right, let's go to the last question from Step Clone Dunn.
Oh God.
Step Clone.
Step Clone.
Step Clone. I'm my head's stuck inside of the genetic modulator.
Oh no. Oh no.
Who asks if you had a chance to design a live action Ragman suit, how would you make it look, and how close to the comics would you go?
I actually kind of like, I mean, for its budget level, I kind of like the look of the suit on Arrow.
Oh yeah.
I think it's decent. You know, is it perfect? No, but it's pretty good. I do like the effect of like the little kind of ribbony rags and stuff like that. Like that shit looks pretty good. Going back to like what we were talking about with this comic, I think it's got to be mostly green, but like you have those kind of like brown and different colored green patches on it. But if the general theme of it is green, the hood and the cloak that Chad brought up, I think that's important. Yeah.
Skin tight though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously,
yeah.
You think I'm green lighting something I can't?
They don't call me Cum Ragman for nothing.
Jesus. Yeah, I think it's gotta. I like the patchwork thing more than I like the mummy thing, which works contrary to an effect that I like in the comics and in that, where the suit and the cloak itself can maybe take some shape and reach and grab and stuff. That works better with the mummy ribbon kind of design, but I don't like the look of that as much as I like the patchwork thing.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the biggest obstacle design wise, is like you can draw whatever the fuck you want in a comic and make it work, but that taking something that feels like it's more like one piece but made of a bunch of pieces versus something that's like woven. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think that's a little tricksy. Yeah. What do you think, Chad?
I mean, I think you guys are better equipped to answer this than I am in terms of design and stuff like that. But like,
you're right. Back to no.
I mean, what would appeal to a general audience? Isn't that kind of what y'all do? Just asking.
Why did I sense some stank on that?
Lowest common denominator.
Yeah, it's got us this far.
But no, I mean, I agree. There's merits to what they did in Ragman or in Arrow, but like Arrow is sort of a cross, honestly, between the patchwork and the strips.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's multicolored. They're still rags, but they're more strips of rags as opposed to. He's got like buckles and shit on there. I don't know if I like the buckles.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but like. Also, something they did on Ragman, which really bugged me when I first watched his appearance on Arrow, whatever they did to his voice with the modulator when he was in the suit, you could hardly understand him sometimes. Yeah. So that's got to go. I don't doubt that he should have some sort of spooky, ethereal sort of sound when he's in the suit, but at least make it intelligible to the audience.
For sure.
But I agree. The hood and the cape have to go with it. It's got to be relatively skin tight. I don't know if it needs to be like spandex level skin tight, but like it's got to kind of adhere to his body. He is a soldier, and he can call on the powers of other people. He himself, as his body, is still executing like the acrobatics and stuff. So he's got to be relatively trim and fit. But yeah, I agree.
I keep talking about that.
I would love the idea where he gets like a trapeze artist's like knowledge and ability, but he just doesn't have like the strength. He's like holding on. He's like, I know how to do this, but
Yeah, that's very funny.
Well,
which would be very funny.
There's interesting applications to his power because there's like in Shadowpact, there's a time where like Nightshade has her own universe sort of space, and she always tells people we can walk through this space to sort of teleport from one place to another. But before you come with me through this space, close your eyes. You don't want to see this hell. But like they get trapped in there at some point, and they just have to walk for a long, long time. And Rory isn't necessarily exhausted because he's calling on the souls in his suit to keep walking, just to keep walking.
That's funny.
That's pretty funny. Yeah.
But like there are times when Rory's suit is represented as the patches, but they go a little bit too far with it, where it's like blues and reds and like stripes and polka dots and blah, blah, blah. When realistically, a lot of like the discarded rags and stuff you find are whites or blacks, tans, grays, greens, like that sort of a thing.
They're definitely white.
Jesus Christ.
So I would see it more as like sort of neutral colors as opposed to any blues, reds, patterns, stuff like that.
So I'm going to take a slightly different direction. I think because of his background as a soldier, especially if you're doing like a modernized version of it, what I might suggest doing is doing something that's like based off of the bush soldier outfit, basically, where it's the strands are like the literally
a ghillie suit,
doing something like that. So you're making a direct connection to him as like a soldier, and then all the colors are like browns and greens and things like that, which sort of you're now connecting to sort of that green color thing. I think that's a way to sort of like make a direct correlation to.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Yeah, and certainly like so much of that depends on what your script is doing, but if that's where it's leading, then of course. Just before we end there, I do want to just throw out a little fun sort of 6 degrees of Ragman connection I have. Chad talked about he got to interview Joe Dinicle, who played Ragman on Arrow. Very, very cool. I, for 2 seasons at the Stratford Shakespeare Festival, acted with his dad.
Really? Easy flex.
Yeah, Keith Dinicle, lovely man. Truly,
wow,
a lovely man.
Look at that.
I've never met Joe.
What did you perform in? Because when I interviewed him, he talked a bit about his dad and some of the stuff his dad was in.
My first season there, I was in a production of Henry V, that Keith was also in, and then the second year we were both in a production of The Three Musketeers together.
Oh,
gotcha.
Back in my younger Svelter, where they were like, "Oh, you have like stage combat background," and I was like, "Yeah," and I could move without getting winded and shit like that.
Now you can't move without getting winded.
No. Now I would come if I was on stage now. It would be with like a fishing pole attached to my back and a sausage hanging in front of me, and I'd come out.
Let's face it, you'd be one of the techs, a stagehand of some kind, setting up the scenery, tearing it down.
Let's not offend technicians.
That's true. Well, that was the end of the questions, but we're not done.
No, baby.
It's time to play everybody's favorite game. Can you guess the name of the character based on if someone who's not read comic books can describe that character to us?
That's I think the best you've done it.
Oh, baby.
That was good.
If you don't know this game, I send a photo of a DC character to my wife who does not read comic books, nor does she care for them. She sends back 4 clues describing what she sees. I know who it is. The Doctor and our guest, Chad Bokelman, do not know. Can you guess based on these questions?
All right. I'm ready. And just a reminder for Chad, you could guess multiple times. You could wait for more clues. There's no wrong way to guess other than never getting it.
Yes.
So you said there's no wrong way to guess. Is the Who's Who omnibus count?
It's gonna.
I highly doubt that these.
It would
clues
be
are
amazing if it had a glossary where it's like, oh, what's a character that looks like a hooker, and you could like go through based on the clues.
I love this thing, by the way. You should get it.
Yeah, I'm surprised I don't have that actually. First clue.
Okay, I'm ready.
First clue. Has a tiny mohawk to match his tiny dick.
I don't know if it's a tiny mohawk, but Nuklon?
No.
Olmec?
No.
A tiny mohawk.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm good for this clue. Do you want another clue, Chad?
Yeah, I guess the first thing I thought of was Olmec, but he's got that massive blue mohawk.
Yeah, let's get another one in there.
All right, next clue. Pumped full of steroids, he gets driving across the Mexican border.
Is it Bane?
No.
Somebody who's just absolutely jacked.
And obviously Mexican? This feels dangerous.
Latino. Is he Latino or is he just not white?
I can't answer that question.
Oh, no. Jaime never has he never gets crazy jacked. He doesn't have a mohawk.
No.
It's not Kyle Rayner.
What does Kyle have a mohawk? Or are you just going off the Latin thing?
I was trying to go off that. Yeah, I was working my way through. But he's shredded. He's bit. Is it Extraño?
No.
Okay, I think I need another clue. Chad?
Another clue?
No, it's not. Didn't Gordon have like a shaved mohawk for a little while?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no.
Next clue?
It's not Gordon. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, next clue. Let's do it.
Next clue. A Russian cosplaying as Captain America.
A Russian? Wait, Latin and Russian?
I think we have to throw the Latin thing out. I think that's a misdirect. That's a bad clue, I'm guessing. I mean, so Rocket Red?
No.
KG Beast?
No.
Ooh, that's a good guess. KG Beast is absolutely someone I could see represented with a mohawk at some point.
Who the fuck was the Russian Firestorm? Like Puzar or Puznar or whatever his fucking name was?
The elemental version that kind of wide-eyed for a while. No, I don't remember. So I think if we're going Russian, he's got to have like his costume has probably got to be like red or
yeah, or he's not actually Russian, but the costume is red and has a star on it somewhere.
Yeah,
and that's because
is it a dark star?
I can't answer that question.
I'm gonna say I feel like Richard would get a point of pride
stumping me on a lantern,
trying to stump you on a lantern thing.
Oh shit. Rancor.
No.
Okay. I need one more clue for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Final clue.
Okay.
Not gonna help. Red, white, and blue.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So we got Latin, Russian, and red, white. What are
these? Are I think this is the worst set of clues we've ever had.
We may have had a discussion after she sent these to me.
Is this going to be one of the ones we argue about for episodes to come?
Listen, I'll tell you right now, whether or not we get this is a push.
Yeah.
Okay. Something evoking Russian. So I'm going to say preponderance of red. It must have a star on it somewhere, and that's the Captain America reference. Or they're holding a shield, but that seems less likely.
They have to be jacked.
They've got to be jacked, and they have a tiny mohawk.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, you said tiny mohawk to what? To match their what?
A tiny mohawk to match their tiny dick.
Oh.
Did you think it was going to be helpful? Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, Wonder Woman's had a lot of hairstyles, but it's not her.
No.
Is this a character we've talked about before?
Possibly.
Okay, but we're on the fringes here.
I mean, this character has been on TV. Like probably for an episode, but yes.
Motherfucker.
Like a modern show. Yeah.
This has nothing to do with
Male jacked.
the nuclear family.
No. I'll tell you, he was on Legends of Tomorrow.
That doesn't help. That's fucking everybody.
I
The references legends make, especially these days,
don't
so
know.
far left field. You could tell me what season, and I wouldn't fucking know.
Yeah, I'm legitimately out, I think. I mean, legitimately out is a bad clues, but whatever.
I mean, I know you're not going to tell me, but I'm like, who had a mohawk on Legends? Like, that's all that's going through my mind. Everybody's jacked on Legends.
I'll tell you that
Wait, no. Fuck you. It's Citizen Steel.
So we're not even talking hair? We're talking like part of the suit? Oh, Christ. The little fin on top of his head?
Motherfucker.
Did you say he was on Legends for like one episode maybe?
Yeah.
He was part of several seasons. He's still a part of it.
I was just saying, I don't know. I was just
Been on
going
for like 3 fucking seasons.
I figured it might have been a one-time thing.
Fucking Citizen Steel. I'm actually embarrassed. Probably should have guessed that earlier. The Russian and the Latin thing both.
Yeah.
Way
So
threw
let me
off.
And Jack doesn't help because he's not like Bane jacked. He's just regular DC Universe
He's a normal
jacked.
superhero jacked. Yeah.
My wife has to look at this all day. Okay, that's really jacked to her.
Right, compared to
Yeah.
Wow.
We had a conversation about these clues because I was like, what? I was like, Mexican border, like they're gonna think that he's Mexican. She's like, no, that's where all the good steroids are. That's why he's in Mexico. And I'm like,
Your wife's clues are so.
the Russian thing is more of just like it's like the Russian interpretation of a Captain America. It's like we have Captain America too.
Yeah, sure.
He's
If you were to
red, white, and
buy a
blue.
Captain America toy
Yes,
in Russia, that's
yes.
what he would look like.
Yes, that's where that clue came from.
Yeah. Again, very, very meandering cryptic clues.
Well, and then she gave me those 3, and then I was like, we need a 4th, and she was like, I don't know, red, white, and blue, and I'm like, sure.
Wow.
Shiny Captain America with a mohawk.
Yeah.
I mean,
If you threw in the shiny, like
The
at
problem
any point,
is the photo that I sent her wasn't shiny.
Oh. I mean, kind of, but no. I'm thinking
Yeah,
more
yeah.
of the Alex Ross black cover from the Justice Society.
And the one that they had, the Legends of Tomorrow,
Yeah.
fucking Citizen Steel.
Wow.
Well, now that I guessed it, it's not a push.
Now I was always going to guess it.
Citizen Steel is absolutely in here, although I'm probably sure he's probably under the Justice Society.
It also
or
might be listed as
Infinity
Commander
Or
Steel.
Commander Steel. Or
Commander-
just
Yeah, that's
Steel.
true.
Or, yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that was wild. That was a wild version of the game. Chad, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on to talk Ragman.
Yeah, man.
It's been about 4 years,
Wow.
almost probably to the week
Yeah.
since we did a Ragman episode.
I know.
Yeah, here we are again.
I know. It's much like the Lantern cast. We've probably been doing this podcast long enough that Chad can take it over now.
How many years? Wait, no. Yeah. You're about at the episode. Yeah. I'm ready. Bring it on.
Chad, tell the people where they can find you. And maybe not like physically, but like online.
Promote the place where people are going to be able to listen to your Ragman episode.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, Commander Steel, page
Oh,
162.
there he is.
Yeah.
Found him.
Nice. Gotta get that book.
No, yeah. If you're to the Dr. DC podcast, you absolutely need the Who's Who Omnibus.
Yeah, man.
Although some of that information is just null and void at this point. But no, yeah. So obviously the Lantern cast, Green Lantern podcast, it's everywhere. You're going to be able to find it. I would say I'm trying to make an effort. You guys know content production and doing it consistently is kind of a pain in the ass, especially doing it on multiple different platforms. When you add more podcasts to your lineup, it's even harder. But I'm trying to bring the Ragman blog back, and I'm trying to do so with I'm combining it with my other podcast, Creative Credit. Nice. Creative Credit is a podcast I do where I interview, doing the Lantern Cast as long as you do. I get press passes to Comic-Con and all sorts of stuff. I've met a ton of cool people in Artist Alley. But when you did the Lantern Cast, it's like, I love your work, but did you ink like an issue of Green Lantern in the 80s? So I have an excuse to talk to you on air.
Yeah.
With the Creative Credit show, anybody of any talent from any publisher, any property, anything. And I've expanded that to include people who represent characters in live action, animation, so on and so forth.
Cool.
So Joe Dinical, I brought on, I interviewed him like end of March. I just haven't gotten the content out because I did it on a Zoom call, and I'm editing the video to go on YouTube. I'm editing the audio to go on Creative Credit, and I'm transcribing the whole interview to go on a blog post on the Suit of Souls blog.
Didn't you say something about having too much work because you have podcasts?
Whatever. I'm trying to be thorough. So yeah, Creative Credit, it'll be, you can just find it on a Creative Credit podcast. And of course the Suit of Souls blog, which is thesuitofsouls.blogspot.com. And then the other thing at some point I'll bring back is the Action Comics Weekly podcast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic series. It's an anthology series. It's Superman and Deadman and Phantom Stranger and Nightwing and Speedy and Black Hawk, Wild Dog at some point.
Wild Dog, baby.
So on and so forth. That one is also hard because I bring on a different host for every set because we cover one issue per episode and then they're segmented. So I bring someone on to talk Superman and someone on to talk Blackhawk and someone on to talk, and then I had to edit all that together and put an intro and an outro on it and throw in the bumpers. And I try to advertise the podcast of the guests that I bring on with their own ads in between each segment. So
God, podcasters are so fucking needy.
Talk about my podcast too.
Which reminds me, Richard, where do I send a link for the Lantern Cast?
I'm
just kidding.
Oh God, we're cutting out.
Oh no.
All right. No, but thanks guys for bringing me on. I really appreciate it. If you guys are fans of Ragman, I'd say check out the blog. I'm doing the best I can to keep it updated. But like somebody asked, where's a good place to start? 2010 Ragman Annual or the Batman Brave and the Bold issue 14.
Hell yeah.
From the animated series. So that's great.
And if you want to send us a question for next week's episode.
Next week, we are talking about the DC Comics work of artist Liam Sharp.
Ooh.
This was voted on by our Golden Age Patreon subscribers.
Hell yeah.
I feel like I want to try and record it video, but I'll see if I make that happen. Since it'll be about art and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, fair.
But we're talking about anything that Liam Sharp did for DC. So that goes from Brave and the Bold, Batman, Wonder Woman, goes the Morrison Green Lantern, all sorts of stuff. I mean, Liam Sharp's work is everywhere. We're talking about that. It'll be a fun one.
And aren't we doing another episode 2 we need to pull questions for?
Not next week, are we?
Oh, I thought that was coming up soon.
Wait, which one?
The one that we just booked, the 66, but
no, that's in August.
Oh well, you got a little hint towards what that's going to be.
You saw a little peek behind the curtain.
Oh yeah, baby. If you want to keep
part 2. Maybe in 4 years.
Yeah. I mean, who helped push that? I don't even know who tried to make
I had to spend years begging to do a Guy Gardner episode, and you fucking ingrate listeners wouldn't let me. You said he was bad. You said he was a bad character, and I was like, no, he has a kind heart. He's got a good soul. And you were like, fuck that noise. He's got a stupid haircut. And I said, I think he's more than that. And you said, he's definitely not. And I finally wore you down after 4 years.
Are you gaslighting our fan base?
How I would never.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that Liam Sharp episode because my thoughts on Morrison's writing aside in that series, I would say Liam Sharp, if you're going to give him one word, is probably one of the most versatile artists. Right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just looking at Green Lantern alone.
Some wild stuff just in that series.
Well, so if you want to send questions for that Liam Sharp episode, you can send it to our various social media platforms, such as our Facebook,
Dr. DC Podcast,
our Twitter,
at Dr. DC,
our Instagram,
Dr. DC Podcast.
Of course, you can send us an email,
drdcpodcast@gmail.com.
We've got a subreddit,
r/Dr_DC.
The doc phone is always open.
208-917-3238.
208-917-DCEU.
If you're nasty.
If you're nasty.
That's right.
Come, Ragman.
Of course, you can go to our website.
drdcpodcast.com or .ca.
We always love those 5-star reviews. Give those in. Also, if you want to send us some physical mail, we always love getting that. You can send it to either Richard Eden or Reed Vanier at 301 Hogue Street, Whitehorse, Yukon, Canada, Y1A1V8.
And if you just can't get enough, and you know what? It's been the pandemic. You haven't gone out that much. You got money. It's burning a hole in your pocket, baby.
Yeah.
Give it to us.
Money, please.
Patreon.com/DrDC. We've got a $1, $5, $7 level. All of them get you access to the Docscord, our awesome Discord server. There's some very wacky, silly fun happening over there. I think right now everyone is being cloned. I'm not sure what's happening.
That was a new one I wasn't expecting.
I'm a little confused. But there's lots of fun stuff there. At the higher levels, you get extra episodes every week. You get videos and theme polls and all sorts of fun stuff, and it helps support us. And speaking of supporting us, and speaking of what Chad was talking about, and just multiple things going on all the time, we have another podcast.
That's right, baby.
Ghost Facers, a supernatural rewatch. We are going through every single episode of CW Supernatural.
We just got to season 3.
We are into season 3 now.
We're almost done.
Yeah. We're almost to the end of 2026, which is when that show will end.
And the next show will start.
The next show will start. Our Walker rewatch podcast.
Oh, no.
So we talk about real world monster lore and behind the scenes stuff. It's a really fun show. So check that out wherever you get your podcasts.
And that is it for this week. Say goodbye, Chad.
Goodbye, Chad.
Goodbye, Chad. Adios.
Ciao, ciao, Chad.
Heroes, they always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure, they are men of might.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.